I found her in the rain, my Seraphina, my light in this dark world, lying broken on the cobblestones behind the old cathedral, blood mixing with rainwater, streaming toward the gutter like her life was something disposable, something someone could just throw away. Her emerald dress, the one I'd watched her spin in just that morning, laughing as she danced in our kitchen, was torn, shredded. Her face, that face I'd kissed 1,000 times, was swollen beyond recognition, purple and black and red, colors that didn't belong on something so beautiful. I fell to my knees beside her, and my hands, these hands that had ended lives without hesitation, trembled as I reached for her. "Seraphina," I whispered, my voice breaking on her name like glass. "Baby, look at me." Her one good eye fluttered open, the other was swollen shut. "Ravian," she breathed, and blood bubbled at her lips. "I'm sorry. I tried to fight." "Who?" The word came out like a bullet, like a promise, like a prayer to gods I'd stopped believing in years ago. "Who did this to you?" She tried to speak, but her breath hitched. Her fingers, those delicate pianist fingers I'd watched dance across ivory keys, clutched at my suit jacket. They said to tell you, this is just the beginning." Something inside me died in that moment, and something far worse was born. I lifted her into my arms, feeling how light she was, how fragile, and for the first time in 20 years, since I was a boy watching my father build an empire on blood and fear, I felt tears burn my eyes. "I've got you," I told her. "I've got you, and I swear on everything I am, everyone who did this will pay. This city will pay. Do you hear me? I'm going to burn it all down." She passed out in my arms as I carried her to my car, and I made a vow to the rain, to the night, to whatever hell was waiting for me. I would have my revenge, even if it meant tearing this entire city apart brick by brick. Before we begin this story of vengeance and loyalty, I need to know, where are you watching from right now? Drop your location in the comments. And if you're ready to see how far a man will go for the woman he loves, hit that subscribe button right now, because this story gets darker before it finds light. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and broken promises. I sat beside Seraphina's bed, watching her chest rise and fall with the rhythm of machines keeping her tethered to this world. Tubes ran into her arms. Monitors beeped steadily, counting heartbeats like they were precious currency, which, I supposed, they were. Each one was a borrowed moment, a gift I hadn't earned. The doctors had given me their report in hushed, fearful tones. They knew who I was. Everyone in this city knew Ravian Blackwell. I'd made sure of that. 3 broken ribs, fractured jaw, concussion, internal bleeding they'd managed to stop, bruises covering 70% of her body, signs of... they'd hesitated on this one. Signs of assault. I'd nodded, thanked them, and very calmly told them she was to have the best care money could buy, or I'd burn their hospital to the foundation. They'd believed me. They should have. My phone buzzed. Nikolai, my second in command, my brother in everything but blood. I stepped into the hallway to answer. "Talk to me," I said. The security footage from the cathedral district was wiped. Nikolai's gravelly voice came through. "Professional job. But we found a witness. Old woman who lives above the bakery on 5th. She saw 3 men. Said they dragged Seraphina into the alley around 9 p.m. Descriptions? Wearing masks. But she said one of them walked with a limp. Left leg." My mind started cataloging every enemy I'd made, every slight I'd delivered, every empire I'd crushed. The list was long. I'd been in this business since I was 18, taking over my father's organization when he'd been gunned down at a restaurant. 12 years of building power, of making examples, of ruling the underground of this city with an iron fist wrapped in expensive suits. But Seraphina was supposed to be untouchable. Everyone knew the rules. You didn't touch families. You didn't touch innocence. You especially didn't touch what belonged to Ravian Blackwell. There's something else, Nikolai continued. We intercepted chatter. Someone's been making moves on the east side. New player. Calls himself Soren Cade. He's been buying up territory, bribing our guys, making noise. I've never heard of him. That's because he doesn't want to be heard. Ghost. No one knows where he came from. But boss. Nikolai paused. Word is he's got backing. Real backing. The kind that comes from overseas. The kind that comes with resources we might not be able to match. I looked back through the window at Seraphina. Her face was so swollen she didn't even look like herself. I don't care if he's got backing from hell itself, Nick. If he's responsible, he's dead. They're all dead. What do you need? Everything. Every resource we have. Pull everyone in. I want this Soren Cade found. I want his entire operation mapped. And I want every single person who's crossed us in the last 6 months brought in for questioning. Boss, that's going to cause chaos. The other families, let them come. My voice went cold. Let everyone come. I'm done playing politics. I'm done with rules. Someone thought they could break me by breaking her. They're about to learn they didn't break me. They freed me. I hung up and returned to Seraphina's side. I took her hand, the one without the IV, and pressed it to my lips. Her skin was cool, too cool. I wasn't always this person, I whispered to her unconscious form. You know that. You're the only one who knows who I really am under all of this. The kid who wanted to be an architect, who wanted to design buildings instead of running an empire. You saw that person. You loved that person. She'd wandered into my life 2 years ago at a charity gala, one of those events I attended to maintain appearances, to show the legitimate world that Ravian Blackwell was a businessman, a philanthropist, not the man who controlled every illegal operation in a 50-mile radius. She'd been playing piano that night, Chopin, the Nocturne in E-flat major. I'd stood in the shadows and watched her fingers move across the keys, watched her lose herself in the music, and something in my chest had cracked open. After she'd finished, I'd approached her. That was beautiful, I'd said. She'd smiled, and it was like sunrise. Music is the only beautiful thing left in this ugly world. I don't know, I'd replied. You're fairly beautiful yourself. She'd laughed at the line, but she'd given me her number. That was the beginning. She didn't know who I was at first. Didn't know about the blood on my hands, the bodies in my wake, the fear my name inspired. She just knew Ravian, the man who took her to quiet restaurants, who listened to her talk about music and art and dreams, who, for a few hours at a time, got to pretend he was someone different. When she'd finally learned the truth, 6 months in, when one of my enemies had tried to use her as leverage and she'd seen me kill a man with my bare hands, I thought I'd lost her. She'd stared at me with those wide brown eyes, terrified, devastated. Who are you? She'd whispered. I'm the monster your mother warned you about, I'd told her. And you should run. But she hadn't run. She'd stayed. God help her. She'd stayed. I see the monster, she'd said. But I also see the man. And the man is who I love. That was Seraphina. She saw light in darkness. She believed in redemption. She believed in me. And someone had tried to destroy her for it. My phone buzzed again. A text from Nikolai. Found something. The bakery woman remembered a tattoo. Black serpent on the neck. That matches 3 known associates of the Cade operation. I typed back, bring them to the warehouse. All of them. Alive. I looked at Seraphina one more time, memorizing her face beneath the bruises, storing the image in my mind like fuel for the fire that was building in my chest. I'm going to make this right, I promised her. Whatever it takes. Whoever I have to become. They wanted to send me a message? I'm about to send one back, written in blood. I kissed her forehead gently, careful of the bruises, and walked out of that hospital room. The man who entered had been Ravian Blackwell, the controlled, calculating boss of the Blackwell family. The man who left was something else entirely. Something ancient and furious and utterly without mercy. The city had no idea what was coming, but it would learn. The warehouse on the industrial waterfront had been in my family for 3 generations. Officially, it was listed as storage for a shipping company that existed only on paper. Unofficially, it was where we conducted the business that couldn't be conducted anywhere else. The business that required concrete floors with drains, soundproof walls, no witnesses. I arrived at midnight. The rain had stopped, leaving the city washed clean and glistening under streetlights. Everything looked pure, innocent. It was a lie. This city was rotten to its core, and I'd helped make it that way. Nikolai met me at the entrance. He was a bear of a man, 6'4", scarred from a decade of war before he'd immigrated here and joined my father's organization. He'd taught me everything about survival, about leverage, about the precise amount of pressure needed to break a man. They're inside, he said. All 3 of them. Did they talk? Not yet. Wanted to wait for you. I nodded and walked inside. The warehouse was mostly empty, our footsteps echoing off metal rafters. In the center, under the harsh glare of overhead lights, 3 men were tied to chairs. They were young, maybe mid-20s, trying hard to look tough despite the fear in their eyes. I recognized the type. Street muscle. Guys who thought they were dangerous because they could throw a punch or scare some shopkeeper into paying protection. They had no idea what real danger looked like. They were about to find out. I walked slowly around them, studying each face. The one on the left had a black serpent tattoo curling up his neck. Bingo. Gentlemen, I said calmly. My name is Ravian Blackwell. You already know that, of course. What you might not know is that I'm giving you one chance to tell me everything I want to know. One chance to walk out of here alive. Do you understand? The one with the serpent tattoo tried to sneer. We don't know nothing about nothing, man. You got the wrong guys. I stopped in front of him. What's your name? Fuck you. I turned to Nikolai. What's his name? Nikolai consulted a tablet. Marcus Kane, age 23. 2 priors for assault. Known associate of Soren Cade's operation. Lives with his mother on Elm Street. I looked back at Marcus. Your mother? She still makes that chocolate cake you love? The one with the raspberry filling? The color drained from his face. He understood now. I knew everything. I could reach anyone. You're going to tell me about last night, I said quietly. You're going to tell me who gave the order. Who else was involved? And why? I don't. I moved faster than he could track, my fist connecting with his jaw. Not hard enough to break it, just hard enough to send a message. He spat blood. Let me explain how this works, I said. I have the woman I love lying in a hospital bed right now. The doctors say she might never play piano again because of nerve damage to her hands. Do you know what that means? It means the thing that brought her the most joy in this world, music, has been stolen from her. By you. By your friends. By whoever sent you. I leaned in close. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell me everything. If you lie, I'll know. If you hold back, I'll know. And for every lie, for every omission, I'm going to take something from someone you love. Maybe your mother's bakery burns down. Maybe your little sister has an accident on her way to school. Maybe your father's heart condition suddenly gets worse when his medication is mysteriously replaced with sugar pills. You're a fucking psycho, he whispered. Yes, I agreed. And normally I keep that psycho locked away. I follow rules. I maintain order. But you and your friends took away the one thing that kept me human. So now you get to deal with the monster. Last chance. Who sent you? The one in the middle cracked first. He was crying, snot running down his face. It was Cade. Soren Cade. He paid us 10 grand each. Said we were supposed to rough up your girl, send you a message. What message? That you don't run this city anymore. That the old powers are done. He's taking over and you can either fall in line or fall apart. I absorbed this, keeping my face neutral even as rage burned through my veins. Was it just supposed to be a beating? The crying one nodded frantically. Yeah, just supposed to scare her. But Marcus, he got carried away. We tried to stop him, but— Shut up, Marcus screamed. Shut your fucking mouth. I turned back to Marcus. This one had hurt her worse than ordered. This one had taken pleasure in it. Nikolai, I said calmly, take the other two to the safe house. Keep them there until this is over. What about this one? I looked at Marcus, really looked at him, tried to find some shred of humanity, some reason to show mercy. Found nothing but the memory of Seraphina's broken face. This one stays with me. Understanding dawned in Marcus's eyes. He started struggling against the ropes, screaming obscenities, making threats. I let him. It didn't matter. Nothing, he said, mattered. After Nikolai had removed the others, the warehouse fell silent except for Marcus's heavy breathing. I'm going to tell you something, I said, pulling up a chair to sit across from him. When I was 10 years old, I watched my father torture a man who'd betrayed him, watched him work for 3 hours. The man told my father everything in the first 10 minutes, but my father kept going. You know why? Marcus didn't answer, just stared at me with wide, terrified eyes. Because it wasn't about information anymore. It was about sending a message, about making sure everyone who heard what happened would never, ever cross him again. I thought my father was a monster that day, swore I'd never become him. I stood up, removing my jacket and rolling up my sleeves. Funny how life works out. What happened in that warehouse over the next hour, I won't describe in detail. Some things are too dark to speak aloud. But when I walked out, my hands were clean, I'd worn gloves, and Marcus Kane would never hurt anyone again. He'd live, though. I'd made sure of that. Because I needed him to talk. To tell everyone what happened when you touched something that belonged to Ravian Blackwell. Dawn was breaking when I finally left. The city was waking up. People heading to jobs, to coffee shops, to normal lives. They had no idea that beneath their ordinary world, a war was beginning. Nikolai was waiting by my car. The other two confirmed everything. Soren Cade contracted them through an intermediary. He's been planning this move for months, has at least 50 men, maybe more. Where is he? That's the problem, boss. No one knows. He operates through proxies, never shows his face. Even his own men haven't met him. I got in the car, exhaustion pulling at me. Then we find the proxies. We work our way up the chain. And when we finally reach him, I'm going to make him wish he'd never heard my name. Boss, Nikolai said carefully, this is going to get bad. Really bad. We start a war like this, innocent people might get caught in the crossfire. I thought about Seraphina, about her broken hands, her swollen face, her blood mixing with rain. There are no innocent people in this city, Nick. Not anymore. I didn't sleep. Instead, I returned to the hospital, to Seraphina's room, and sat watching the sun rise through the window. The light crept across her face, gentle and golden, and for a moment she almost looked peaceful, like she was just sleeping, like this was all a bad dream. But the monitors told the truth. The bruises told the truth. This was real. I met your father once, I said to her quietly, continuing a one-sided conversation I'd been having since she was admitted. Remember when you finally introduced us? 6 months ago? You were so nervous. I smiled at the memory. She'd been pacing the restaurant for 20 minutes before they arrived, straightening her dress, checking her makeup. He's going to hate you, she'd said. Probably, I'd agreed. But surprisingly, Theodore Winters hadn't hated me. He'd been cautious. He wasn't stupid. He knew who I was, what I did, but he'd seen how I looked at his daughter, how I treated her. You make her happy, he'd said to me when Seraphina had excused herself to the restroom. God help me, I can see it. She lights up around you. I love her, sir, I'd told him. More than I thought I was capable of loving anything. Then protect her, he'd said, because the life you lead, it eats everything good. Don't let it eat her. I'd promised, sworn I'd keep her safe. I'd failed. My phone rang. I almost didn't answer, but the number was Theodore's. He'd arrived in the city last night after I'd called him, had gone to a hotel to sleep, was probably on his way here now. Ravian. His voice was hoarse, destroyed. I'm at the hospital. They won't let me up. Said you left instructions. I'll come down. I found him in the lobby. He'd aged 10 years overnight. His gray hair was disheveled, his expensive suit wrinkled. His eyes were red. Show me, he said. Not a request, a demand. I led him up, tried to prepare him. Theodore, it's bad. She's stable, but... We reached the room. He saw her through the window and his knees buckled. I caught him, held him up while he made a sound I never wanted to hear again. A father's grief, raw and primal. My baby girl, he whispered. My Sarah. We stood there for a long moment before he straightened, wiping his eyes. When he looked at me, I saw something I recognized, something I felt in my own chest. Who did this? A new player, Soren Cade. He's trying to take over the city. Used her to send me a message. And what are you going to do about it? I met his eyes. Everything. He nodded slowly. Good. What do you need? Nothing. This is my world, my war. She's my daughter. His voice hardened. And I might not be in your line of work, but I built a billion-dollar company from nothing. You think I did that by playing nice? I have resources, connections, politicians, judges, police commissioners, people who owe me favors. So I'll ask again. What do you need? I'd underestimated Theodore Winters, underestimated what a father would do for his child. Information, I said. This Soren Cade came from somewhere. Money like his doesn't just appear. Someone knows who he is. I'll make calls. He did more than that. By noon, Theodore had worked magic. I got a text with a file attached. I opened it in the hospital cafeteria, Nikolai reading over my shoulder. Soren Cade. Real name, Soren Kozlov. Former Russian military intelligence. Dishonorably discharged 5 years ago for excessive violence. Had worked as a mercenary in 3 different war zones before disappearing 18 months ago. Reappeared here, in my city, with seemingly unlimited resources and a plan to build his own empire. Russian intelligence, Nikolai muttered. That explains the professionalism. The Ghost Act. This guy's trained. Trained or not, he bleeds, I said. Everyone bleeds. My phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered. Ravian Blackwell? The voice was accented, cold, amused. I hope you received my message. Soren Cade. Had to be. I got it, I said, keeping my voice level. And I'm about to send a reply. He laughed. You don't understand. This city is mine now. I have more money, more men, more connections than you can imagine. Your little empire is finished. I'm giving you one chance to walk away. Leave town. Take your broken woman and disappear. If you're smart, you'll take it. I have a counteroffer, I said. You have 24 hours to turn yourself into me. Come alone. Face what you've done. If you do, I'll make it quick. If you don't, I'll dismantle everything you've built, find everyone you care about, and make them pay for your mistakes. You're threatening me? He sounded genuinely surprised. You're threatening me when I hold all the cards? You don't hold anything, I said quietly. You think you hurt me? You think you broke me? You just removed my leash. 24 hours, Cade. Clock's ticking. I hung up. Nikolai stared at me. Boss, he's right about one thing. His resources don't matter. Resources don't win wars, Nick. Will does. And I guarantee my will to destroy him is stronger than his will to build an empire. He made this personal. Fatal mistake. Over the next hours, I set things in motion, called in every favor I had, reached out to the other families, the Italians on the north side, the Irish on the west, the Chinese who controlled the port, families I'd competed with, fought with, made uneasy peace with. I offered them all the same deal. Help me destroy Soren Cade or stay out of the way. Most chose to help, because they understood something Cade didn't. There were rules in our world, unspoken but unbreakable. You didn't touch families, you didn't target innocents. Cade had broken those rules, and if he could do it to me, he could do it to any of them. By evening, I had an army, 200 men, maybe more. Every major organization in the city united against a common enemy. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt like the beginning of something terrible. A war that would burn the city down. I was standing at Seraphina's window, watching nightfall, when her hand moved. Just a twitch, a tiny movement of her fingers. But it was the first voluntary movement since I'd found her. I was at her side instantly. Sarah? Baby, can you hear me? Her eye, the one that wasn't swollen shut, fluttered open, focused on me, and tears started sliding down her bruised cheeks. Ravian, she whispered through her broken jaw. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. No. I took her hand carefully, so carefully. You have nothing to be sorry for. Nothing. This is on me. I should have protected you better. Not your fault, she breathed. He said, The man who hired them said this was just the start. Said he was going to take everything from you, starting with me. He's wrong, I told her. He didn't take you. You're still here, still fighting. And I swear to you, he's going to pay for what he did. Don't. She struggled with the words. Don't become a monster from me. Too late, I thought. But I just kissed her forehead and lied. I won't. I promise. A nurse came in, excited to see Seraphina awake, and gently ushered me out so they could examine her. I stood in the hallway, feeling something crack inside my chest. She'd asked me not to become a monster. But monsters were the only things that survived in the dark. And where we were going, there would be nothing but darkness. The attack came 3 days later. Seraphina was improving, slowly, painfully, but improving. She could speak in short sentences now, could move her arms. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. I'd hired a 24-hour security detail for her floor. 6 men, rotating shifts, all loyal, all armed. I thought she was safe. I was in a meeting with the heads of the other families, planning our coordinated strike against Cade's operations, when Nikolai burst in. Boss, hospital, now. I didn't ask questions, just ran. The drive took 12 minutes, felt like 12 hours. Nikolai filled me in. There'd been an explosion, small, contained to one room, Seraphina's room. My world stopped spinning. We arrived to chaos. Fire trucks, police, smoke pouring from a 3rd-floor window. I was out of the car before it fully stopped, running toward the entrance. A cop tried to stop me. I threw him aside. Another grabbed my arm. I nearly broke it before Nikolai intervened. Boss, she's okay. She wasn't in the room. I froze. What? They'd moved her. 20 minutes before. Routine transfer to a different floor for some test. She wasn't there when it blew. The relief hit me so hard I nearly collapsed, but it was immediately followed by rage. He'd tried to kill her. While she lay helpless in a hospital bed, Cade had tried to finish what his men started. A detective I recognized, Detective Lauren Moss, one of the few honest cops in this corrupt city, approached carefully. Mr. Blackwell, she said, I need you to stay calm. Where is she? 5th floor. She's fine. Shaken up, but fine. The bomb was crude, meant to send a message more than kill. If she'd been in the room, she might have survived. Might not have. But I want to see her. In a minute. First, I need to tell you something. She looked around, then lowered her voice. This is off the record. This whole war you're starting, it needs to end. Now. Before the body count gets any higher. Tell that to Soren Cade. I would if I could find him. But here's the thing. We've been looking. Ever since Seraphina Winters was attacked, we've been investigating. And Ravian, something doesn't add up. I focused on her. What do you mean? I mean, Soren Cade might not exist. At least, not the way you think. The Russian connection is real, the military background is real, but the money, the organization, we can't trace it. It's like it appeared out of nowhere. And the men he's recruited? Most of them don't even know who they're working for. They take orders through encrypted messages, get paid in cryptocurrency. So he's careful, paranoid. Or he's a front. She met my eyes. What if someone's using the Cade identity to start a war? What if this is about something bigger than territory? I wanted to dismiss it. But Lauren Moss was smart, had good instincts. And she was right. Something about this whole situation had felt off from the beginning. Who benefits from a war? I asked. In this city? Half a dozen people. Rival families looking to move up. Corrupt politicians who profit from chaos. Foreign organizations looking for a foothold. Hell, even some of your own people might see an opportunity. The thought had occurred to me. Betrayal was common in my world, but I'd dismissed it. My inner circle was loyal, had been for years. Hadn't they? I'll look into it, I said. But right now, I need to see Seraphina. She let me go. I found Sarah in a new room, surrounded by security, looking small and frightened in the hospital bed. When she saw me, she started crying. "He tried to kill me," she sobbed. "While I was sleeping, he tried to—" I know, but you're safe now. I held her as carefully as I could, feeling her shake. I'm going to move you, somewhere he can't find, somewhere protected. "I want to go home," she whispered. "Not yet. It's not safe. Nowhere's safe." She pulled back, looked at me with those brown eyes I loved. "Ravian, maybe he's right. Maybe we should leave. Both of us. Start over somewhere else. You could walk away from all of this." For a moment, one brief, shining moment, I let myself imagine it. Leaving the city, the empire, the blood and violence and endless war. Taking Seraphina somewhere quiet, somewhere I could just be Ravian, not Blackwell. Where she could play piano in peace, and I could finally sleep without nightmares. But it was fantasy. Because men like Soren Cade didn't stop. They didn't let you walk away. If I ran, he'd follow. He'd see it as weakness. He'd hunt us down and finish what he started. The only way out was through. "I can't," I told her. "Not until this is finished. Not until you're truly safe." She closed her eyes, fresh tears sliding down. "Then I've already lost you. Because finishing this means becoming the thing you hate, the thing your father was." "Maybe I already am that thing." "No." She gripped my hand. "You're not. Not yet. But you're close, Ravian. I can see it. Every day you're closer. And I'm terrified that when this is over, when you've had your revenge, there won't be anything of the man I love left." Her words cut deeper than any knife. Because she was right. I could feel it happening. The cold spreading through me. The part that felt compassion dying, replaced by calculation, by cruelty. Marcus Kane's screams still echoed in my dreams. And the worst part? I didn't regret it. Didn't feel guilty. Just satisfied. "I'll find my way back," I promised her. "After this is done, after you're safe, I'll find my way back to you." She didn't look convinced, and honestly, neither was I. "Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. If someone hurt the person you loved most in this world, how far would you go for revenge? Where's the line between justice and becoming the villain?" Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because the answer to that question is about to define everything. I kissed Seraphina goodbye and left her under guard. Nikolai was waiting in the hallway. "We have a problem," he said. "Another one?" "The Italians pulled out, said they're not backing us anymore, and the Irish are wavering." "Why?" "Because Cade just bought off 3 city councilmen and the police commissioner. He's making it official. Anyone who helps us faces legal consequences. Raids, arrests, prosecutions. He can't. He can if he has enough money and leverage. And apparently, he has both." Nikolai looked worried. Genuinely worried. "Boss, We might be on our own here. I processed this. The army I'd assembled was crumbling, the unified front falling apart. Cade was smarter than I'd given him credit for. He wasn't just fighting with violence, he was fighting with politics, with legitimacy. Then we adjust, I said. If we can't hit him with overwhelming force, we hit him with precision. Find his operations, his stash houses, his money. We bleed him dry. That could take weeks, months. Then we'd better get started. But as I said it, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Just 2 words and an address. Come alone. The address was an abandoned factory in the industrial district, the kind of place where people went to die. It was obviously a trap. Obviously suicide to go alone. I went anyway. The factory had been dead for 20 years. I stood outside, watching shadows move in the broken windows, and felt a strange calm settle over me. This was it. The moment everything had been building toward. Either I'd find Soren Cade inside and end this, or I'd die trying. Either way, the waiting would be over. I'd told Nikolai where I was going. Told him if I didn't come out in 2 hours to burn this place to the ground. He'd argued, of course. Wanted to come with me. Wanted to bring an army. But some things you have to do alone. I walked inside. The factory floor was vast, empty except for rusted machinery and broken glass. Moonlight streamed through holes in the roof. And in the center, beneath the largest skylight, a man stood waiting. He was tall, maybe 6'2", dark hair, expensive suit. Late 30s, he looked like a businessman, not a monster. Ravian Blackwell, he said in that accented voice I'd heard on the phone. I wasn't sure you'd come. Soren Cade, I replied, moving closer. Or should I call you Soren Kozlov? He smiled. You've been doing your homework. Good. I appreciate a worthy opponent. Why? The question burst out of me. Why her? Why Seraphina? If you wanted to fight me, fight me. She's innocent. Is she? He tilted his head. The woman who chose to love a monster? Who legitimizes your existence with her affection? No, Ravian. She's not innocent. She's your weakness. And in war, you target weaknesses. I moved before I realized I was moving, crossing the distance between us, reaching for his throat. But he was fast, trained. He sidestepped and drove a knee into my ribs. I gasped, stumbled back. We circled each other like wolves. You're angry, he said. Good. Angry men make mistakes. Speaking of which, did you notice you were the only one who came alone? Did you notice my 30 men in the rafters with rifles pointed at your head? I looked up. He wasn't bluffing. Red laser sights danced across my chest. I laughed. Couldn't help it. You brought 30 men to face one. That tells me everything I need to know about who you are. His smile faded. It tells you I'm smart, careful, everything you're not. If you were going to kill me, you'd have done it already. So what do you want? I want you to understand something. He walked closer, careful to stay out of my reach. This city is mine now. Your time is over. The old ways, the families, the territories, the codes of honor, they're dead. I represent the future. Organized, efficient, profitable. You represent chaos. I represent evolution. And Seraphina? She was a message. But she can also be a gift. Leave the city tonight. Take her with you. Disappear. Do that, and I'll let you both live. Stay, and I'll finish what my men started. But this time, I'll make you watch. The rage came back, white-hot and blinding. You think I'd run? You think I'd let you win? I think you'd do anything to protect her. That's your real weakness, Ravian. You love her more than you love power, more than you love this city, more than you love yourself. So yes, I think you'll run, because I'm giving you something you can't get any other way. I'm giving her a future. He was right. God help me, he was right. If I stayed and fought, Seraphina would never be safe. Cade would keep coming, keep targeting her. Even if I killed him tonight, assuming I could survive 30 rifles, someone else would take his place. The war would continue. But if I left, how do I know you'll keep your word? I asked. You don't, but you don't have a choice. Walk away or watch her die. Those are your options. I thought about Seraphina, her smile, her music, her unwavering belief that I could be better than what I was. She'd asked me not to become a monster for her. Maybe walking away was the answer. Maybe loving her meant letting go of everything else. I need 24 hours, I said, to arrange things, to say goodbye to people. Cade studied me, trying to detect a trick, finding only exhaustion. 24 hours. Then I want you both gone. And Ravian, if you try anything, if you make one move against me, she dies first, painfully. Am I clear? Crystal. He gestured, and the red dots disappeared from my chest. I turned and walked away, feeling 30 rifles track my movement, feeling Cade's eyes on my back. I made it outside, made it to my car, made it 3 blocks before I had to pull over and vomit, because I'd just surrendered. For the first time in my life, I'd backed down, chosen survival over victory. It felt like dying. Nikolai was waiting at our rendezvous point. Boss, what happened? He gave me an out, I said. Leave the city or watch Seraphina die. That's bullshit. We can fight. We can... No. I met his eyes. We can't. He has too much, too many resources, too much power, and he's willing to target her to get to me. As long as I'm here, she'll never be safe. So you're just giving up? Handing him the city? I'm choosing her, like I should have from the beginning. Nikolai looked at me like I was a stranger. Your father would be ashamed. My father's dead because he chose power over everything else. I'm not making that mistake. I drove back to the hospital, back to Seraphina. She was sleeping when I arrived, her face still bruised but healing. So beautiful despite everything. I sat beside her and took her hand. I'm getting you out, I whispered. Out of this city, out of this life. Somewhere you can play music again. Somewhere you can just be Sarah. And I'll be whoever you need me to be. Not Blackwell, not the boss. Just Ravian, the man who loves you more than breathing. Her eyes opened slowly. You mean it? Every word. She started crying. Not from pain this time, from relief. Thank you, she breathed. Thank you for choosing me. I kissed her hand. Always. But even as I said it, something gnawed at me. A detail I couldn't quite place. Something about the whole situation that felt wrong. I pulled out my phone and called Theodore. It's late, he answered. I need to ask you something. The information you got on Soren Cade, where did it come from? A contact. Former intelligence. Why? Can you trace the money he's using? The accounts funding his operation? I can try. Give me an hour. He called back in 45 minutes. Ravian, you need to hear this. The money trail for Cade's operation? It doesn't lead to Russia. It leads to here. To the city. To... He paused. To someone in your organization. My blood went cold. Who? I don't know yet.
The accounts are scrambled, but the money's been siphoned from your operations for over a year. Small amounts, not enough to notice.
Until it was. The pieces fell into place with devastating clarity. Soren Cade wasn't some foreign invader. He was a puppet, a front. And someone I trusted, someone close, was pulling the strings. This wasn't about territory. It was about betrayal, and I'd almost fallen for it. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat in my office, the one above the club I owned downtown, and I thought, really thought, about loyalty, about trust, about who had the most to gain from my downfall. Nikolai had been with me for 12 years. He'd taken bullets for me, saved my life more than once. But he'd also been the one pushing me toward war, toward escalation. What if that wasn't loyalty? What if it was strategy? I pulled up every financial record I had access to, went through them line by line, looking for discrepancies, for patterns. Found them around dawn. Small transfers, going back 18 months. Not from my accounts directly, that would be too obvious, but from operations Nikolai oversaw. The ports, the shipping routes. Money skimmed so carefully I'd never noticed. My phone rang. Theodore. "I have a name," he said. "The accounts trace back to Nikolai Volkov," I finished. Silence. Then, "How did you know?" "Because I'm an idiot. He's been with me so long I never questioned his loyalty, never looked deeper. But it makes sense now. He knew my routine, knew how to hit Seraphina without me being there, knew exactly how to push me into a war that would destroy me. What are you going to do?" Good question. What was I going to do? Nikolai was more than my second. He was my brother, my teacher, the man who'd made me who I was. And he'd betrayed me. Used Seraphina's pain as a weapon. Nearly killed her to further his own ambition. "I'm going to finish this," I said. I called Nikolai, told him to meet me at the warehouse. Our warehouse. The one where I'd questioned Marcus Kane. Fitting, somehow. He arrived 20 minutes later, looking concerned. "Boss, everything okay? You sounded strange." "I know," I said simply. "Know what?" "Everything. The money, the transfers, Soren Cade. You." For a moment, nothing. Then his face changed. The concern dropped away, replaced by something cold, something that had probably always been there, hidden beneath the mask of loyalty. "When did you figure it out?" he asked. "Too late, obviously. But I'm a little confused about the why. You were my father's right hand, then mine. You had power, respect. What more did you want?" "Everything." He smiled. "Your father promised me partnership, equal shares. Then he died and left it all to you, his 18-year-old son. What did you know about running an empire? Nothing. I had to teach you everything, build you from nothing. And how did you repay me? By making me your lieutenant, your servant, never your equal." "So this is about ego?" "This is about taking what I earned." His voice rose. "I spent 12 years bowing to you, following your orders, watching you make decisions I could have made better. And then you brought her into our world. That weak, pathetic girl. And you chose her over everything. You hurt her because I loved her? I hurt her to wake you up, to show you that weakness has consequences. But instead of becoming stronger, you became more pathetic, ready to run away,
To abandon everything I built for you. He shook his head. So yes, I created Soren Cade. A ghost that could take the blame. That could push you into a war you couldn't win. And when you finally fell, I'd be there to pick up the pieces. To run this city the way it should be run. But I didn't fall, I said quietly. I almost did. Almost ran. But you made one mistake, Nick. You hurt the wrong person. Because Seraphina didn't make me weak. She made me human. Gave me something to fight for beyond power. And now I'm going to show you what happens when you take that away from a monster. He reached for his gun. I was faster.
Had my weapon out and aimed before his cleared the holster. Don't, I said. He froze, then slowly raised his hands. You won't kill me, not after everything we've been through. You're right. I lowered my gun. I won't kill you, because you're going to do something for me first.
What?
You're going to tell everyone the truth about Soren Cade, about the fake war, about the betrayal. You're going to call every family, every operation, every person you've been manipulating, and you're going to confess. And then you're going to leave this city, disappear, change your name. Because if I ever see you again, if you ever come near Seraphina or me or anyone I care about, I will do things to you that will make what I did to Marcus Kane look like mercy. Do you understand? He stared at me. You're serious. You're actually letting me walk. Seraphina asked me not to become a monster. So I'm trying to find a line between justice and vengeance. This is that line. Take the deal, Nick. It's the only one you're getting. For a long moment, I thought he might refuse, might choose death over exile. But survival won out. It always did. Fine, he said. I'll do it. He did. Over the next hours, he called everyone, explained everything. By noon, the whole city knew the truth, that Soren Cade was a fiction, that the threat was manufactured, that the war had been internal. The other families were furious. Some demanded blood. But I'd gotten there first, made my own calls, explained that I was handling it, that Nikolai would face consequences, just not death. When it was done, I watched him pack a single bag and get in a car. He paused before leaving. She really did make you weak, he said. No, I replied. She made me better. There's a difference. He drove away. I never saw him again. The cleanup took weeks, dismantling the Cade operations, returning stolen money, rebuilding trust with the families. But slowly, carefully, the city stabilized, and Seraphina healed. 2 months after that terrible night in the rain, she was released from the hospital. Still bruised, still recovering, but alive, whole. I took her not to my penthouse, but to a house I'd bought in secret. Small, quiet, on the edge of the city where the streetlights ended and stars were visible. What is this? She asked. Our future, I said. If you want it. I'm not giving up everything. Can't. The city still needs someone to maintain order, but I'm stepping back, letting others handle the day-to-day. And when I come home to this, to you, to a life that's ours, not my father's, not the Empire's, ours. She walked through the house, touching walls, looking out windows. In the living room, I'd placed a piano, the best money could buy. She saw it and started crying. I wasn't sure if I'd ever play again, she whispered, sitting down. Her hands were still bandaged, still healing, but she placed them on the keys and played. It wasn't perfect. Some notes missed, some timing off, but it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard. When she finished, she turned to me. You kept your promise. You found your way back. I had a good reason, I said, kneeling beside her. The best reason. I pulled out a ring. Simple, elegant, nothing flashy. Marry me, I said. Not because you have to, not because I'm Ravian Blackwell and I always get what I want, but because I love you. Because you saved me from becoming my father. Because I want to spend every remaining day I have being worthy of you. She was crying and laughing and nodding all at once. Yes, yes, you idiot. Of course, yes. I slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her, tasting salt and joy and hope. Outside, the city continued. The empire continued. The darkness continued. But in that house, in that moment, there was only light. 5 years later, I sat in that same living room, watching Seraphina play piano for our daughter. Elena was 3, dark-haired and curious, clapping along to the music with chubby hands. She had her mother's eyes, her mother's smile, and, Seraphina insisted, my stubborn streak. The business still existed. I still ran things, though from a distance now. The difference was I'd built something sustainable, something that didn't require me to be a monster. I worked with the families instead of against them, focused on profit instead of power, made the empire into a business instead of a battlefield. It wasn't perfect. There was still violence, still darkness, but it was better. I was better. My phone buzzed. A message from Detective Moss. Thought you'd want to know. Nikolai Volkov was found dead in Prague. Gunshot wound. Apparent suicide. I stared at the message for a long moment. Felt nothing. Not satisfaction. Not grief. Just acknowledgement that some stories end in darkness. I deleted the message and looked up at my family. Seraphina met my eyes, smiled, went back to playing. This was my revenge, I realized. Not blood, not violence, but this. Building a life Nikolai had said was weakness. Proving that love wasn't a liability. That choosing family over empire wasn't surrender. It was victory. The truest kind. Elena ran to me, throwing her arms around my neck. Daddy, come dance! I let her pull me to my feet, let her stand on my shoes as we swayed to Seraphina's music. And I thought about that night in the rain, about finding Seraphina broken, about the vow I'd made to burn the city down. I'd kept that vow, just not the way I'd intended. I'd burned down the parts of myself that needed to die, the rage, the cruelty, the belief that power was all that mattered. And from those ashes, I'd built something better, something worth living for. Who did this to you? I'd asked her that night, demanding names for my vengeance. But the real question was, who did this for you? Who became better because you believed in them? Who found redemption in your love? The answer was simple. I did. And that was the greatest revenge of all. Not against enemies, but against the darkness itself. Proving it couldn't win. Proving love could. The music played on, and I held my daughter, and I kissed my wife. And I lived. Really lived. Finally. Thank you for staying until the end of Ravian and Seraphina's story. Their journey proves that even in the darkest places, love can be a light. That choosing to be better is the bravest form of strength. If this story moved you, if it made you think about revenge, redemption, and what really matters, please subscribe to the channel, because every story we tell here is about the human capacity to overcome, to choose love over hate, and to find light in the darkness. Thank you for being here.